Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. Total world victory of Hare Krishna. It's Bhagavad-gita as it is. My name is Sitapati Danna.
My name is Danna Devi.
And it's Bhagavad-gita 4:14.
Evidence.
Evidencia.
That's the first version.
Yeah, we are at the... Oh, no. How do I turn the camera? Can I use the back camera? Let's have a look. More. Settings. Camera. Front camera. There you go. Back camera. There you go. This is our view right now. We're in Whangarei Heads, which is about 40 minutes away from Whangarei. You can see some of the kids are out there in kayaks. And we're on the seafront, the seashore of the bay. Front camera, back to us.
We can actually put it at front camera. Then top.
So people don't see us, but they see that.
They hear us and they see the beauty of New Zealand.
The beauty of nature.
Yeah, of course.
All of our no live viewers. We can switch between the two. We'll switch between the two. Okay. I'm interested to know actually what the sound is like.
Oh yeah. I'll color myself.
Yeah, we're using these new microphones that we got. Anyway, we'll listen to it later. Hopefully there's some sound. Actually, more settings, audio, iPhone microphone. Oh, now we're using. Say something.
Hola.
Okay, well, let's see what these ones sound like. Now we're using this MPhil AP2 device, which I'm pretty sure is this one. If I switch it back to the microphone, it looks like it's louder. Looks like it's much louder. This thing, turn off automatically, adjust the volume, and crank it right up. How's that? Anyway, we're just going to roll with it and see what happens. Okay, here we go. Bhagavad-gita, as it is, Chapter 4, Transcendental Knowledge, text number 14. Oh, we missed the last 2 days. That was Janmashtami and Prabhupada's appearance. Nos acercamos. Yeah, we had Janmashtami and then Prabhupada's appearance. Namam karma-phale limpanti, na me karma-phale spṛhā, iti mam yo bhijānāti, karmabhir na badhyate. Na
never
mam
unto me
karmāṇi
all kinds of work
limpanti
do affect
na
not
me
my
karma-phale
in fruitive actions
spṛhā
aspirations
iti
does
mam
unto me
yaha
one who
abhijānāti
does not
karmabhir
by the reaction of such work
na
never does
saha
he
badhyate.
become entangled.
Translation. There is no work that affects me, nor do I aspire for the fruits of action. One who understands this truth about me also does not become entangled in the fruitive reactions of work. Purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Okay. As there are constitutional laws in the material world, stating that the king can do no wrong, or that the king is not subject to the state laws. Similarly, the Lord, although He is the creator of this material world, is not affected by the activities of the material world. He creates and remains aloof from the creation, whereas the living entities are entangled in the fruitive resource of material activities because of their propensity for lording over material resources. The proprietor of an establishment is not responsible for the right and wrong activities of the worker, but the worker are themselves responsible. ¿Quieres leerlo?
The living entities are engaged in their respective activities of sense gratification, These activities are not ordained by the Lord for advancement of sense gratification. The living entities are engaged in the work of this world, and they aspire to heavenly happiness after death. The Lord, being full in himself, has no attraction for so-called heavenly happiness. The heavenly demigods are only his engaged servants. The proprietor never desires the low-grade happiness such as the workers may desire. He is aloof from the material actions and reactions. For example, the rains are not responsible for different types of vegetation that appear on the earth, although without such rains there is no possibility of vegetative growth. Vedic smṛti confirms this fact as follows: Nimittamatram ivasau srijjanam sarga karmāṇi pradhana karani bhuta yato vai srijya shaktayaha.
In the material creation, the Lord is only the supreme cause.
The only supreme cause.
The only supreme cause. The immediate cause is material nature, by which the cosmic manifestation is visible. The created beings are of many varieties, such as the demigods, human beings, and lower animals, and all of them are subject to the reaction of their past good or bad activities. The Lord only gives them the proper facilities for such activities and the regulations of the modes of nature, but he is never responsible for the past and present activities. In the Vedanta Sutras, it is confirmed that the Lord is never partial to any living entity. The living entity is responsible for his own acts. The Lord only gives him facilities through the agency of material nature, the external energy. Anyone who is fully conversant with all the intricacies of this law of karma, of fruitive activities, does not become affected by the results of his activities. In other words, the person who understands this transcendental nature of the Lord, it is an experienced man in Krishna consciousness. And thus he is never subjected to the laws of karma. One who does not know the transcendental nature of the Lord and who thinks that the activities of the Lord are aimed at fruitive results, as are the activities of the ordinary living entities, certainly becomes entangled himself in fruitive reactions. But one who knows the supreme truth is a liberated soul fixed in Krishna consciousness.
Hey, why don't we do this?
What?
Let's turn the table round so that the view is behind us, so people can see the view and us. Oh, you're so smart. Vamos.
But you do not follow my instructions here. That's one.
I thought you meant to turn the camera around like that.
No.
Okay, you're so smart. Okay, let's go.
Okay, we need to turn it on the table. I'll bring the table beside us. Okay. 1, 2, 3, go. Okay.
Okay, now I'll spin the camera and you'll get a view of the cabin where we've been staying. It's kind of like a tiny home, and it's giving me some ideas about what our tiny home will be like, because it sucks. Living in it and thinking about living in and it's been raining a little bit, so it gives us an idea of what it will be like to live in the tiny home in the rain.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, camera. Let's flip the camera
Action.
back around.
Smile.
Back to the front camera. It doesn't look like it's going to work. No, not really. Maybe. Let's bring this down a bit. We're using these new microphones, and we're using this new stand.
That's the water behind us.
That does look pretty cool.
Maybe more like this.
Oh, that's perfect. That looks beautiful.
Yeah, but I cannot hold it for a long
I
time.
know, we needed one on a stand. Oh man.
It's okay. We are.
You get the idea.
Yeah. Maybe put a little bit more upwards then. Don't you reckon?
Yep. Like this.
Use everything.
Like this.
Service of Krishna, yeah. Las piernitas un poco más.
Oh, I see.
Así, así me da un poco más por ahí.
Oh yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
Correct.
And hang on, we'll make this down a little bit like this. Here we are spending all this time, rather than discussing Bhagavad-gita, adjusting the camera so that you can see the material energy. A lot of material energy.
beauty that Krishna created. There we
Yeah.
go.
Okay, so the verse, right?
Mhm.
Omagyanatimirandasya gyananjana shalakaya chakshur unmilitam yena tasmai sri gurave namaha. Give us a shout out if you're watching, if you can hear the sound, how it sounds. There's no work that affects me, nor do I aspire for the fruits of action. Two parts to this, and then the second part. One who understands this truth about me also does not become entangled in the fruitive reactions of work. Srila Prabhupada's purport deals with the two halves.
Mhm.
The first half, there's no work that affects me, nor do I aspire for the fruits of action. Part of what's considered here is that how Krishna can be sarva karana karanam, the cause of everything,
Mhm.
but not responsible for anything.
It's incredible.
I mean, another interesting point here in this purport, Srila Prabhupada starts by saying, as there are constitutional laws in the material world stating that the king can do no wrong, or that the king is not subject to the state laws,
Mhm.
of course, that's now, at least ostensibly, officially changed, because this is what used to be called the divine right of kings,
Mhm.
which is like not only is the king above the law, the king is the source of law itself. He's the representative of God.
Mhm.
And that changed, I think, with King James II or something.
Who changed the Bible?
No, Oliver Cromwell
Mhm.
and the Magna Carta and what's up?
Paul.
Oh, Harry Bol. Paul, how are you?
Hello from Whangarei.
From Whangarei Heads.
Yeah.
And they changed that. They were like, the king is not above the law. It doesn't work that these people, because you have these people who are not qualified and they're not acting appropriately for the distinction of that position as that distinction. Now they're just taking the piss. They're just taking advantage of it.
Oh yeah.
So they changed the whole system and they said the king is not above the law. So that's why it's a constitutional monarchy. It's a parliamentary democracy. So it's like there are laws and the queen's not above the laws.
Mm. The other thing about that is, like, even if you wanna, they have like a, no, I don't know how many kings are left. They're not trained, or they're not they don't know their duties as per the Vedic system.
Mm-hmm.
So they're, I guess, physically the king and called the king, but they don't act as the kings as they used to be in the old times, because they have to be prepared in everything, and they have to have such a righteous life, very right, doing the right thing, being knowledgeable about the Vedic scriptures and know what is right, what is wrong, and do it well. But now these days, it's people like they immediately get into the political world, and then they use the power to create more havoc. That's a big problem these days.
The other thing about that is that although that, you see, Srila Prabhupada's purport, he starts with, it's an analogy. He's using an analogy. He uses the analogy of the workers and the proprietor, and as there are constitutional laws in the material world stating that the king can do no wrong, or the king is not subject to the state laws, similarly the Lord. Now, my point here about this is that it's an analogy, this and then similarly this other thing. It doesn't rely on, he's not asserting that, we live in a constitutional, in a monarchy with a constitutional law like that, because we don't have constitutional laws like that now.
No, we don't. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, so Prabhupada's he's not asserting that this is a fact. He's using it as an analogy for this other thing. And so neither is the point that he's illustrating, it's not dependent on the analogy as a proof, it's dependent on the analogy as an explanation, and nor does using it as an analogy assert that it's true. It's just that, yeah, you can understand this thing, so this other thing is like that. It doesn't mean that, if you examine the laws of America, of New Zealand, of Australia, of Canada, that you'll find that they have laws like that, or India, because none of these countries have laws like that anymore. So in the same way, when Srila Prabhupada says that the holy name is like an antiseptic vaccine during a pandemic, that's not a proof for that's not a proof of vaccines. It's not an assertion of anything like that. It's an analogy from something that's widely understood to something that's not widely understood to make that thing widely understood. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Analogies are not proofs.
No.
They're not proofs of either the thing that you're illustrating or the thing you're using to illustrate it. I've seen people try to use Srila Prabhupada's analogies about vaccines and about going to the moon, analogies that use people's widely held understanding of these things as a proof of the thing itself.
Mm.
Yeah.
You can see like how people can, create a lot of havoc because of that. They misuse things or misinterpret things and make them valid and real, and then that creates or that deviates the origin of the whole knowledge, because they add in something concocted.
Mhm.
Just because humans, we have like the ability to create words and to express ourselves with words and intelligence, they recreate, and it's like a repackaging things to make it real.
Mm. Yeah, so I couldn't take this purport and use this to prove that the king is above the law.
Not in this world anyways, in the Kali Yuga.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Even though Srila Prabhupada has stated this here, he's doing this as an analogy. Here in this next part it says, in the material creations, the Lord is the only supreme cause. The immediate cause is material nature by which the cosmic manifestation is visible.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is still in the there's no work that affects me, nor do I aspire for the fruits of action.
Mm-hmm.
And then, see, in the Vedanta Sutras, it is confirmed that the Lord is never partial to any living entity. The living entity is responsible for his own acts. The Lord only gives him facilities, although through the agency of material nature, the external energy. Tripurari put it very poetically. He said that God is the architect of the universe, but we are the author of our own fate.
That is true.
Mm-hmm.
Although the thing is, okay.
The sound is low.
Okay.
I don't know that there's any way I can turn this up.
Maybe closer to us?
No, because, well, yeah.
Or maybe this one.
You have to move the microphone closer to your mouth.
Okay. Like ice cream.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I can put my microphone here.
Okay, I will do mine too. Can you hear us better?
That's the camera. I need to look at the audio.
Mm-hmm.
Audio. That's as loud as it gets.
Wow, there's not much of
It's
that.
not very loud at all, is it? Is the audio... Hang on. What about if I take this off? No. Okay, that's as loud as it's going to get, I think. Cancellation off. Automatically adjust microphone off. Many external mics aren't supported. Well, this one looks like it is. Yeah, that's the best we can do with the sound. I'm sorry, apologies.
Maybe we should speak a bit up.
Louder. Speak louder.
Okay.
Yeah, God is the author, the architect of the universe, but we are the authors of our own fate. And you know, that was in the Terminator movies. There is no fate but what we make. And Paul used to say that at the end of his speeches.
The other thing is, like, okay, so Krishna already knows past, present, and future.
Yeah.
So he already knows our fate.
Mm-hmm.
It's already like, it's like a movie already. Because Krishna already knows about it.
Mm-hmm. It's already happened.
Yeah, the thing is, like, how come we are directors of our own fate?
Yeah, well, I don't know. This is my personal realization about it.
Mm-hmm.
That's just part of the Leela. Is pretending that you're doing it. You know, because it says, Prakriti kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashaha ahankara vimurhatma kartaham iti manyate, that the spirit soul, deluded by the false ego, the ignorance, thinks himself to be the doer of activities that are in fact carried out by the three modes of material nature. We're just actors. We're like puppets on a stage. But the thing is that we think that we're doing it, and there are actually psychological experiments which demonstrate this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we were listening to that video today about artificial intelligence being able to read people's minds, right?
Mm-hmm. The brainwave.
Yeah, by getting the EEGs, electroencephalograms. By getting the EEGs, the electroencephalogram from people's brains, this AI is able to reconstruct what they're looking at or the music that they're listening to. And they had people listening to Pink Floyd, and they had the AI reading the EEG and then cranking out, you know, a song that sounds, it's Pink Floyd. You can tell what it is they were listening to.
Mm.
So they do these experiments with people where they, oh man, I can't even, can't remember them. Maybe I can make something up.
Try.
Well, hypnosis is a good example, right? They'll hypnotize someone and say, you know, when you hear the certain word, you know, you're going to pretend that you're going to turn into a chicken. So then the person sits down, and then the hypnotist is like, the hypnotist does something like, says to them like, oh, I'm sorry, it doesn't work on everyone, you know, sometimes it doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
And then so the person sits down, and then the hypnotist keeps going, and then they say a certain word, and then the person gets up and starts walking around like a chicken.
Oh my.
Right? And everyone's laughing because they know exactly what's just happened. They just watched it, right? But they get the person up on stage and they say to them, you know, like, you know, why did you do that? And the person's like, oh, well, you know, the hypnotism thing didn't work, so I just thought I'd do something funny, you know, to make a joke out of it. That's what they think.
Yeah.
See, their brain invents a narrative around it. But they've done experiments with measuring people's different parts of people's brains, like the motor section and the section that makes decisions and drives narrative and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And what they discover is that people do things and then generate the story about why they did it.
Mm.
So our brains are not so much driving the action as much as they are telling a story about the action that's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And then as the living entity, we're just interpreting that, just like that AI is interpreting those EEG waves from people's brains.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, that's exactly what that verse is saying, that the living entity thinks that they're doing this stuff, but they're not. The bewildering potency causes them to think that, the ahankara.
Mm.
So it's predestined, it's happening, and our brains just make up a story about what's happening, like, why did you do this? Like, the real answer to why did you do this is simply, I did it.
Mm.
And it's not even I did it, it's like, you know, the body did this thing.
But there is an intelligence behind it, because the body itself doesn't have that intelligence to do it unless your mind is dictating and your brain is carrying on the message instructions.
That's what we think, yeah.
Yeah, imagine. Well, that's the thing, because even if you're physically incapable of doing that, you have some brain injury, and your mind is telling you to do that, like you cannot do anything. So you need the mind, you need the intelligence to actually to dictate all of that in order for your body to react. Because the brain itself, without the mind, it will be in a vegetative state. Because remember, the office of the mind is the brain.
Well, remember that the brain is an organ, right?
It is.
Yeah, but then when you have mind, intelligence, and false ego, none of those are an organ. Those are like subtle kind of
Yeah.
energies or functions.
Yeah, but without the subtle energy or the subtle body, you cannot, because the mind is the subtle body. Without the dictum of the mind, your body cannot do anything. You need the mind.
Mm-hmm.
And in order for the mind to work in whatever way, you need intelligence too.
I wonder if these microphones are going to be any good.
I don't know, we can continue doing this.
Yeah, we
No,
can
I'm
also,
Okay.
we'll watch it back, and we can also, I don't know, I'll have a look and see if there's like some other program that can boost the sound or something.
Mm-hmm. Especially when we're out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are we diverting the verse?
I don't know, whatever. YOLO. Janmashtami was really cool up here.
Mm-hmm.
Prabhupada's parents, Vyasaki's here doing kirtan. It's been great. Did some great kirtans yesterday. Loved it.
Yeah,
It's really good.
it was awesome actually, the kirtan.
Looking forward to some more kirtan tonight. We've got the local Indian community program.
Yeah, we do.
They're doing their Indian Taranaki Temple Trust back home.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing it tonight as well. I'll send them a message to say Happy Janmashtami for today. To Yash.
And it's sent it from the Indian community. Hello.
Yeah. Yeah, we should take some video and send it down.
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
No Tadeo today.
Anyways, so we're not. Oh, Krishna is the door. He's the master. We're not.
And one who knows that the Lord is not entangled is themselves not entangled. That's pretty far out. Well, we're still quite
Pardon me?
tired, aren't we?
I know.
It's like a lot of driving, and like, yeah. And we have to go back tomorrow. We should take a little nap now.
We do. But I need to cook.
Do we? We should go and find out about that.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, let's wrap this up.
Okay, so-
Translation. There's no work that affects me, nor do I aspire for the fruits of action. One who understands this truth about me also does not become entangled in the fruitive reactions of work. Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. Total world victory.
Jai Shri Krishna. And for the last time, have the view. We need this. So let me get you a bit more. Our houses that destroys the view. But anyways, let's go this way. Oh, that head. Whose head is that? There we go. Who is this Kirtaniya?
Praise the Lord.